Welcome back to the Win with Dice podcast, a podcast featuring members of the Win with Dice team. I'm Calvin, and I'm joined here by Ramon.
Hey guys, this is your first time listening to Win with Dice podcast. Thanks for joining. This is a podcast all about tabletop RPGs. Calvin and I like to take a casual approach to the hobby, and we like to talk about the games that we run, the games that we play, and all the cool, wonderful people we get to experience the hobby with. And if you're new to tabletop RPGs, what are you doing? Don't stop the video, but go find a friend group and go play some games. And if you are a player at someone else's table, hey, maybe it's your time to be the GM. I mean, if two jabronis of Canada can do it, I think you can do it too.
Yeah, put us on in the background while you're working on your GM notes.
Yeah. Notes, like I take.
Exactly, like everyone should. Yeah. Now, this week, we've got a bunch of things to cover. There's a whole bunch of new news from Paizo at Gencon this weekend, as well as the release of the Rage of Elements book earlier this week, or last week when you're hearing this. And I wanted to get into that and into the new Kineticist Class, so... this week, we're going to skip our usual Win with Dice weekly GM tip of the week, and we're just going to get right into the topic because there's a whole lot of stuff to cover in this book, and I really want to get into it because I think it's very fascinating.
Yeah, Calvin's super excited to jump into all this cool, awesome new content, so let's do it.
So let's get started with Gen Con, the games convention that went on over the weekend. Of course, Paizo was there, and a whole bunch of other companies were there. I know there's a lot of good stuff that was going on with Green Ronin, but what I wanted to get into was all the Pathfinder and Starfinder stuff that was mentioned this past weekend. So I'm just going to go in order of things that came up. We'll probably cover more of this maybe next week or so, but I'm just going to cover pretty much the core parts of it. They, of course, brought up the remaster and mentioned that the Player Core and GM Core books are going to be out this November 2023. Which will also have a streamlined character sheet, which we saw an image of. I might put that up on screen. If not, we'll get into it next week. It's going to include, of course, some of the stuff that is dealt with in the new character creation. Some stuff I did want to discuss, but we don't really super have a whole lot of time for it. But it does answer one of the questions I had of, like, you know, what do you do when you get your ability scores or your ability modifiers, rather, to higher levels? Because they only go up by 2 usually, but there is like a partial boost when you get to a certain point.
Right.
But we'll get into that when we get into that. It's a pretty interesting sheet, but I don't want to spend too much time on it. But I'll put an image up so you can see it.
Okay, cool.
Additionally, the Monster Core book is going to be out March 2024, and Player Core 2 is going to be out July 2024. So by next year, we'll have pretty much all the ancestries and classes that are already available, but then remastered for the streamlined play.
Yeah, we'll have the 2.5 versions, I guess it would be.
Pretty much. Yeah, the math is largely the same, but a lot of descriptive stuff is different. Which I think is different in a good way. There was, of course, mention of the recent Rage of Elements book and the Kineticist Class, which... they've said after the playtest, people kind of said there was maybe too many moving parts with it. So they simplified the play of the class, but left complexity in all the choices, and we'll definitely get into that stuff.
Yeah.
As far as other Pathfinder news goes, of course, you guys know the remaster is going to be compatible with already published content. There is a preview of it available, which is also going to have to be I think we're going to have to do an episode on the preview document. That could be an entire thing on its own, which we'll probably get to in a bit. One thing that was a surprise, well, one of the two biggest surprises, this one being Pathfinder related, is that there is some projects coming down the pipeline. This project was completely unannounced previously, but it is a upcoming secret book and playtest. Apparently the title of the book would be a spoiler of what's in it, so we don't know the title of it yet. But I don't know what it could be, but...
Interesting. Okay. Thanks, Paizo.
We did get some details. So it will come with a playtest of 2 new classes that have not been seen on Galarian before.
Ooh.
So these could be completely new things. I believe there will be new iconic characters for them as well.
Nice.
And the playtest will be September 1st this year to October 3rd. And one of the major plot points of this book is that one of the core 20 deities of Pathfinder will die.
Wait a minute. Oh man, who could it be?
I have no idea. There's plenty of speculation, plenty of rumors. People are looking at Starfinder future stuff to see if they can figure it out. But
I was gonna say, who's missing in Starfinder? I was like,
I don't really know because I'm more into Starfinder stuff than Pathfinder stuff. So the deities I'm not too familiar with because they're not as relevant in Starfinder, or at least
true.
Not now.
That's true. I mean, it would be pretty cool if like they bridges the gap and we're like, oh wait a minute.
That's where you've been. You were dead.
Yeah, you were dead all the time. Yeah, all this time. Oh man, that's kind of wild. Interesting. I love it. This is some MCU level of like, plotting, I guess.
Yeah. So
secret
really
foreshadowing big chinned monsters or something. Like
probably. I have no idea what those classes are going to be. There's a lot of speculation, but again, they're apparently something new, so it might not be like if there's something else that has been brought over from first edition, it might not be that. It might be something different.
Yeah, okay. Well, I'm excited.
Yeah, we'll find out in September. Now, the biggest news from Gen Con, the thing that got me the most excited, the spiciest spice that they sprinkled out over the weekend, with the trailer that showed the 3-action symbol from Pathfinder 2e, but glowing and floating in space. Starfinder 2nd Edition is coming in 2025
nice.
with an official playtest that starts in 2024.
Nice.
It's going to be completely compatible with the Pathfinder 2e Remaster. In fact, during their playtesting, they've been testing against Pathfinder 2e creatures. They mentioned an encounter that involves some mind control that also let them test how players may have to deal with a mind-controlled party member in Starfinder 2e.
Ooh, cool.
So yeah, there's a whole lot of stuff about this that I want to get into, but I don't want to take up too much book time. So I will mention that you can go to starfinderplaytest.com and you will see there a field test document. They want this to be the most open playtest they've had. There was talk of like even streaming some of the testing of the game. They even mentioned stuff of like, at one point they realized, a feat we created for this class already exists under Barbarian, so we got to rename that. Like that sort of thing that comes up during creating new stuff. So in the interest of doing that, they put out a document that has level 1 to 5 of the current soldier class, as well as some items and creatures, including laser wolves, which is pretty fun. Those laser wolves are fully Pathfinder 2 compatible, so if you want to throw them at your party, you have them right there.
Yeah, I highly recommend it. I haven't seen them, but they'll probably work. Like,
definitely. Yeah, I really want to get into the soldier stuff. There was someone who made a Foundry version of it. I don't have their name in front of me, but I do want to get into that. So I think maybe next week or so we will have an episode on that. We'll see how things go.
Yeah.
But yeah, one thing they also mentioned is that because Starfinder 2 is going to be compatible with Pathfinder 2, they have to find a way to make the Starfinder classes not just fantasy classes in space, because the classes can cross over now. So Soldier can't just be Fighter in space, and Envoy can't just be Bard in space, because you could, if you want to, just play a Bard or a Fighter.
Exactly, right? And it's that's the kind of thing. I mean, to be fair, I'm glad that they're making the classes separate, or not separate, but like unique. So, if you are into Pathfinder 2nd Edition 0.5, I guess, you can just pick up Starfinder, and then you get double the bang for your buck, because now all of the stat blocks and monsters and all the stuff that you have for Pathfinder can translate over, and you could just be like, yeah, here's an ogre, and then here put a space helmet on him, and then now he's a space ogre.
Exactly. Yeah, that is one of the things I'm very excited for, because like back when we were recording Starfinder episodes, one of the early combat situations I put you guys through was me remaking a Pathfinder 1 creature in Starfinder, and now we can just flip them back and forth as we want, and I can put some fantasy monsters against Starfinder people. I can bring in some Starfinder stuff into a fantasy world. I don't know how that'll work, but it's doable.
I mean, release the laser wolves, man. Like, get those out of there.
Yeah, I think it's fascinating to see Pathfinder as like a genreless system in a way.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
just using that as a base for different systems, I think that's a very interesting idea. I think it's going to give them a lot of creative room in the future.
Yeah, I'm excited because in a couple of years, I think I'm gonna run like a Pathfinder's Modern if they haven't created
Exactly.
by then, where it's just like both systems in one, where it's like play whatever you want, man. like, like,
Yeah, I'm sure there's a
right.
modern finder out there that we can
Yeah, right.
that someone's made or that we can make, and yeah, I'm really excited to see how that works out. So yeah, StarfinderPlaytest.com. Go check out the document. It's got level 1 to 5 with the new soldier class. It's just a class, so if you want to make a character, you're gonna have to use some Pathfinder stuff. But I think it's worth checking out and giving it a test.
Yeah, for sure.
And yeah, there's a whole ton of other news, but we're gonna save that for either next week or the week after. Because what I really want to get into is Rage of Elements. Just recently, the Rage of Elements book was published, and with it comes new information on the planes, including 2 new planes, and the Kineticist class. So the book itself obviously includes the class. It also includes some backgrounds and ancestries for your characters, and it has some descriptions on the planes. So you've got your air, your earth, your fire, and your water plane. But now you also have your metal and your wood planes, which have their own totally different personalities.
Yeah, yeah, it's super cool that they're adding the other elements, not just like what you expect from like Western fantasies, but bring a little Eastern fantasy into it, which is what I love about Pathfinder. They always pull from every like lots of different cultures. It's really nice.
Yeah, I think that's something they mentioned specifically, like when it comes to like genies and witches and stuff. Like they want to pull on those mythologies, and I think it's interesting to get into those.
Yeah.
Yeah, so each plane has descriptions on like what the plane is like, some locations, the elemental lords, and how they sort of have to. There's like 2 of them for each plane, and they act in balance. There's spells, there's items, there's creatures. I've taken some interesting ones from each plane, and I'll just give them in the brief overview of each plane as we get into that. As we cover all the stuff in the book. The book itself, interestingly, it's written from the perspective of a character by the name of Aziza, who is a genie blood traveler and researcher, or genie kind rather. Yeah, and yeah, I just thought it was interesting how the book is written from her perspective, and then each section on a different plane is written from the perspective of a resident of that plane.
Oh, it's like an interview. Like maybe she's going there and talking to somebody, and they're explaining to her like, oh, like she's like a traveler, and she's literally like there talking to somebody, and they're just like, oh yeah, this is how this works.
Yeah, pretty much. It's like it's like a little bit that. It's a little bit like she did research and found these writings, and it depends on which plane they're talking about. Because like the plane of fire, for example, it's written by like a tour guide.
Oh, cool. I'm glad that they sold out, and it's just like, yeah, come to the plane of fire and riches. It's just like,
Yeah.
I just think it's like it's just Las Vegas. That's what it is.
It's really fun. So I would definitely recommend checking out the book. But yeah, I want to get into all the fun stuff that's in here, including the elementary truths, and that's just like basic element stuff, like how the planes function, what they are. History and key figures, including the conspiracy by the lords of air, earth, water, and fire to imprison certain other elemental lords, and after the liberation of those characters, that also led to the reveal of the planes of wood and metal.
Oh, that's so cool. That means like all the stuff that why weren't they there before? It's not like a retcon. It's just like, but they were hiding in the shadows, locked away.
Yeah, they were there like the whole time. You just didn't see them.
Yeah, of course. It's like the character who was just like off screen. Like you just you didn't see them.
Just always slightly to the left.
Yeah.
There's also a map of the planes and their relation to the universe, which is the new name for the material plane. But to be honest, I like the material plane more, but I get why they went with the universe. I think that also sounds cool, but I like how material plane sounds.
I guess it just is. I mean, it's like literal. I like
Yeah.
it. I kind of like the material plane is kind of cool because it makes it sound like a plane, right? Not just like a real. Not like it's not like a real place, but like it's just like we have a universe. We live in the universe. I want to live in the material plane because it's a fantasy land.
Yeah, everywhere else is weird. This is material.
Yeah, this is. They could have just called it the normal plane.
That would fit too. And yeah, there's also a diagram of the elemental cycle, which shows how the elements feed with each other and which ones counter each other. It's like 5-way rock, paper, scissors, with air sort of in between all of them.
Really? Air is the middle. Okay.
Yeah. It's like the space between.
Oh, cool. Cool. I did not know that. Nice.
Yeah.
I thought they would go on the like water beats fire, or water beats fire, fire beats tree kills lizard, Spock shows up, that kind of deal, right?
Yeah, it's pretty much that, just without air.
But then air's like, but I'm special.
Yeah. pretty much.
Nice. Cool. All right, sick. I guess because there's air everywhere, they're like, wait a minute.
Yeah, what element could defeat air? Like, fire can burn wood, but what are you gonna do about air? It's still
yeah,
here.
but there's air in the plane of fire. It's not like it's just all made of fire.
Exactly. There's air and water.
The plane of rocks is just one solid rock.
So yeah,
nice.
Definitely. I don't want to take too many screenshots of the book, so I want people to check it out. But yeah, that is some awesome stuff that's going on in there. It also has stuff for making elemental-based characters. So not just the class, but it'll have elemental ancestries. So you know how you have like Ifrit and stuff for someone who's tied to the plane of fire, and you have like tieflings and whatever for people who are tied to like other planes and whatnot. There are new ones for the planes of wood and metal. So you have your friendly and hospitable Ardondes for people who are tied to the plane of wood, and your flashy and prideful Talos for people who are tied to the plane of metal.
Oh, cool. So are these, they're not genie adjacent, they're just like extraplanar bloodlines or like backgrounds?
Correct. I think they already had some genie stuff previously. I think there's might be some expansions on it.
Cool. Nice.
And yeah, there's also some backgrounds for characters. All of them tied to either different planes and stuff like that. There's one that I found interesting, which was elemental infused, where a character is just like, in their background, they were exposed to a bunch of elemental energy. So now they have potentially elemental powers, but that is just the background. So your class can still do whatever you want.
Nice. It's kind of like you got Carol Danvers, right? Like you're just like
that's what I was visualizing.
Yeah.
It's like that, but someone spraying water in your face.
Ah, no. Now it's how I am water.
And yeah, they have a ton of extra stuff. They have new companions and familiars and eidolons for summoners, and then some new archetypes for people either who are multi-classing kineticists, or you can turn any spellcaster class into an elementalist spellcaster.
Oh, nice. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. A lot of fun stuff. But yeah, I want to get into the planes. So with the planes, what I did is I tried to condense them down to just like a few jot notes, just because there was a lot of information there. So it's like a little bit of a description, some of the locations there, one of the elemental lords who are one of the like key deity figures in the planes, and then some spells and items and creatures and stuff, just to give them some flavor. So I guess we'll just do this in. Should we do this alphabetically, or should we do this in a random order? I guess alphabetically makes more sense.
Yeah, just do Spock first. Spock first. That's
the plane of Spock.
Yeah, guess which plane I'm referring to, Calvin. What what beats a lizard?
Oh, what, Earth? I don't know, rocks?
All right, let's go with Earth, folks. All right.
We probably should do these alphabetically. If people
okay, fine.
I know, I'm sorry, I'm just too excited. I just realized people might actually listen to this for information and not just for us messing around.
Not just for jokes. All right.
Which is weird, right?
Yeah, I know. But yeah, okay, let's go whatever the way it's presented in the book, which is probably alphabetical. We should probably just do that. it's probably
enough.
air, right? A is air. So,
Yes.
okay. The one that beats everyone. Let's go.
All right. The plane of air, the endless sky, an infinite horizon. It can be traveled either by flight or by perpetually falling in the correct direction.
Interesting. What does that mean?
It means that when
crazy.
people get there, if they're not used to being in the air all the time, it'll take them some getting used to feeling like they're always falling.
Ah, cool. All right.
So a couple of interesting locations. One is the Storm of Fangs, which is like this vengeful, eternally rolling storm.
Damn, that's a killer name. I wish I was called the Storm of Fangs.
Yeah, it's pretty badass, man. You should probably borrow that. I don't think anyone will mind.
Yeah. Nice.
There's also Port Eclipse, where pirates and air captains dock their airships.
Ooh,
which are
nice.
a popular way to get around here. So one of the elemental lords here is Hushura, or Hushura. It's a very interestingly spelled and hard to pronounce name. But she is the enigmatic and unpredictable Duchess of All Winds, who has a reputation of cruelty towards corporeal creatures. So, mind your manners whenever you meet her.
Interesting. Okay.
She's also known to just, drop corporeal creatures, out of her palace into the plains, so...
Will they fall forever?
Yeah.
Never to be seen again.
So yeah, be very careful around that one. And yeah, there's new spells with each plane, and they're mostly primal spells, but other spellcasters can take them or whatever, and they have, of course, elemental traits. So some of the air spells are Pressure Zone, which creates a sudden drop in air pressure that kind of disrupts creatures and harms them, and something like Blast Back, which is where you, I believe it is a reaction. You can release a burst of air force after a fall.
Oh, okay. So stop you from falling?
I don't think it stops you, but it just has a big old boom when you hit the ground.
Oh, okay. You do the cool superhero landing.
Yeah, it's a superhero landing spell.
Okay, cool.
If it does stop you, I didn't write that down because that wasn't the cool part. It's a superhero landing. Some of the items are, this one is especially pretty interesting to me, Nimbus Breath, which you can inhale to gain electricity resistance and flight, and you can exhale it for a gust of wind spell. And it's a new kind of consumable.
Right.
Each
it's
plane,
how long you can keep it in your mouth.
Yeah. Each plane, for the most part, they have new types of items. And the one for air is called Bottle Breath, and it's basically a potion you inhale, and the effect lasts as long as you can hold your breath.
Oh, that's so sick. So you got big lungs. You could just be oh yeah, for a whole fight until someone knocks the wind out of you.
Yeah, man. It's perfect for a new Constitution-based class.
Yeah. Oh, wait, hold on. Is that... I'm pretty sure I know what... Isn't that the Kineticist?
Yeah.
Sick. Okay, cool.
And one of the interesting creatures also is the Veldenar. And these are amphibious creatures that are 20 feet tall with many eyes, but despite their size, they can actually ambush targets because they are able to naturally be invisible.
Wait, but they're from the plane of air?
Yeah.
How are they amphibian?
Well, they resemble amphibians, I should say.
Oh, okay. Sorry. They look like amphibians. Okay, that makes more sense. They have a billion eyes, and they turn invisible. Cool.
Yeah, they're also either way, they're hard to see.
Yeah, cool. All right, sick. That's pretty cool.
So imagine one of those sneaking up on you.
Can they fly? I mean, I guess they have to, right?
Possibly. I mean, I kind of assume anything from the plane of air can fly. It would have to get around.
Nice. I thought the plane of air creatures would just be balloon or bird.
I just thought it was very funny that there's this 20-foot tall creature and it can sneak up on you.
Yeah, it's just hello.
So yeah, that is the plane of air. And with that, let's get into the plane of earth, which is infinite caverns and tunnels with rivers of gemstone and an abundance of potential for creation.
Nice. Rivers of free-flowing gemstones? That's crazy. That's a lot.
There's a lot of planes that have like just rivers of particular stuff. It's like crazy to see.
Rivers of X. Right. You sure we're gonna go to the metal plane and be like, is rivers of screws? Just like
do not fall in there.
No, yeah, that was bad. Gemstones sound bad too. Like, I don't know you swim. Also, why do if they have rivers of gemstones, why do Zorns even leave the plane of Earth to go eat garbage in our plane?
Well, you want to try different cuisines.
I guess you're right. I guess they want to just. Some people just want to Bear Grylls it out there. They don't want to eat the gemstones they've been eating out of the river for, however long Zorns are alive. Anyway, sorry.
Yeah, it's like drinking your river water to them.
These guys literally eat dirt. I don't know, man.
Yeah, but good dirt.
Good dirt. True.
So, a couple of key locations from the plane of Earth. There is the Blistering Labyrinth, which is a tunnel maze that's just full of radiation.
Oh, radiation? Oh, cool. I thought it would have been like lava, but I guess like the plane of fire probably like is like the lava place,
Yeah, pretty much.
Sure. Radiation, cool.
Yeah, there's some locations that are sort of like mixes of different planes or like on the borders of the planes, as much as borders can exist with planar locations, but this one is just radiation.
Cool, all right. Makes sense.
And then there is Citronide, which is a massive cavern that has almost 40 different city-states within it. That's
a lot.
Yeah.
It's a cool place to set a campaign and a nightmare to GM. Like,
yeah. Figure out the different politics for each of these places.
And they all eat rocks, like all of them. We are the rock people. Maybe some of them are like rocks, and some of them are like bats, and some of them are like the worm dudes.
Yeah, man. Ooh, okay, now I want to do it.
Well, yeah. I mean, I feel like you only need to know the immediate city-states or whoever's important, but then tell your players there's 40 city-states, and they're like, ooh, but you only just play in one city, and you never talk about the rest of them.
No, man, you know me. I'm going to want to name all of them.
Oh, no. Roxville. Rockton.
There's going to be a lot of that. Rockport.
Rockport.
So one of the elemental lords here is very cool looking. It is Air-Zool, who is dragon-like and skeletal with crystalline spikes and teeth.
Oh, dude, what? That's crazy.
Yeah.
Like a Skeletor dragon that's made out of gemstones? Bruh.
Yeah, man.
Nice.
And with the description given, the fossilized king who seeks control even beyond his own plane, he was one of the key plotters who had locked away the other imprisoned elemental lords.
Yeah, I don't know why I'm thinking about Skull Greymon, but he probably looks like Skull Greymon, I think.
I don't know who that is.
Calvin's like, there's no clue who Digimon is. Looking at Skull
I just looked it up. You know what? I could see it.
Yeah, okay, cool. I don't know. To be fair, guys, I don't have the thing in front of me, so I'm just going off of whatever. I'm you right now.
Imagine Skull Greymon, but with more emerald.
Cool.
And yeah, it has some cool spells. Glass Shield is one that stood out to me because I think it's really funny. It's basically a shield spell, but if the shield breaks, it just shoots glass at the attacker.
That sounds rough. Cool.
And some items. There's Fossil Fragment, which can summon a fossilized skeletal creature.
Ooh.
And then there is Robe of Stone, which is a very interesting visual. And it grants you some abilities. It grants you Tremor Sense, but the more interesting thing is that when you're wearing the robe, you have the ability to consume earth, gems, and metal instead of food.
Oh, you just become Zorn. Okay. You know what? I can see, like, the funniest thing would be, like, a very rich, like, oligarch just has a thing just dining on people's diamonds and stuff. Just like, nom, 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 Diamond.
Yeah. Oh, man, I'm like imagining someone who like puts it on and they realized, oh hey, these gold coins taste pretty good actually.
Yeah, right. And they just their whole thing is to get more gold. It's just so they can eat it.
Yeah, I really like it. I kind of want to use it at some point. I forget what level it is, but I'm gonna shove it in the game somewhere.
Nice,
Um,
yeah.
and then as far as creatures go, one that stood out to me is one of the troop creatures, which is basically a creature that acts as like multiple creatures. The Avalanche Legion that sort of patrols the borders between different regions of the plane, who are ruled by different territorial elementals.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
So yeah, I thought those are pretty interesting creatures. Troop stuff, I don't think we've really gotten into, but it's a pretty interesting rule set on its own.
Nice. So they're more like a generic grab bag of abilities on like a base. And so it's like, oh, this is like whatever you want it to be. Well, like it has like a theme, obviously, but it's like they're a little bit more flexible.
Yeah, it's like you want your player to fight a horde of zombies without running like 10 different zombie characters.
Yes. It's yeah, nice. They're kind of like I guess minion-y characters. I'm assuming.
Yeah,
Nice.
like that.
Very cool. Cool.
But yeah, that is the plane of Earth, and let's get into the plane of Fire, the sun at the center of the multiverse, also known as the Eternal Furnace, with seas of
Wait.
flame and rivers of magma, and every single mountain is volcanic.
I was gonna say the sun is the plane of fire. Oh, cool.
Well, I think it's a metaphorical sun at the center of the multiverse, but that might just be what they call it.
Oh, okay. It's just like flavor. Like this is like the sign, right? Like when you get like a postcard from there, it's like come to the.
Yeah. I mean, it might be literal based on the based on the planar map, but
Okay, cool.
but yeah, that is what they call it. I think that was a very cool name. And of course, tours are available with complimentary elemental protection. Just don't go too far away from the tour guide. So a couple of locations here: the Emberin Recess, which is a volcanic area ruled by short-tempered magma dragons. I don't imagine there are very long-tempered ones. um, and then there's also Inferno's Bliss, which is a relatively safe settlement for outsiders to visit, but not recommended for long stays, partially because the air here may burn your lungs. Actually, I think that's largely it.
That's the only thing. Everything was fine. Everyone was really nice there. Just that people might just spontaneously catch on fire if you can't just be immune to it.
Yeah, bring some water. You know how it goes.
Bring some water.
One of the elemental lords here is Emiri, Queen of the Inferno, whose followers revel in the destruction that their queen brings. She's also pretty cool and badass. I think
Nice.
for the lords, I may be mistaken, but I'm pretty sure for the most part, they don't really have alignment anymore, but I think usually it's like one of them is sort of good and one of them is sort of evil. And
Yeah,
each plane
I
has
think
two.
that's kind of how it was before. When I remember digging through some of the lore, the Pathfinder lore on their wiki page, like the Pathfinder 1 lore, and there were like two elemental lords when they were one was good, one was evil, essentially, and they had a big fight. And some of them survived. I don't remember, but I guess they've changed some stuff. So
Yeah, I think it was tied to a previous adventure, which I don't recall the name of, but yeah, I believe. Well, you can see how that fight went, and then it ended up with the people who were imprisoned. They were released, and they also brought along metal and wood with them.
nice, yeah.
So yeah, some of the spells, Blazing Armory, which I thought was pretty cool because you can summon a fiery
Ooh.
version of a weapon.
That's cool.
And Cauterized Wounds, which is the target takes 1 fire damage, and they can try to save against some persistent bleeding if they have some going on with a lower difficulty.
Oh, cool. I definitely like the Blazing Armory. I gotta take a look at that one because there is a certain character in a certain pirate campaign that has a sword literally made out of fire. So
Oh
maybe
yeah, yeah.
this whole book may actually just save my campaign. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I didn't even think of that. That's a pretty good idea. Definitely check that one out.
Yeah, like you guys need more powers to beat up my poor bad guys with.
I mean, I don't know. I think Helen might want some. Oh, Helen could really do well with some plane of water stuff, actually. Oh, okay. When we get to the plane of water, there's a certain thing that I just realized I think Helen might be into.
Oh, sick. All right, cool.
So yeah, some items as well. One of them is the Globe of Shrouds, which is a sensor, which is like a little thing with like a stick, and then at the other end you have like a bowl you put incense in and you light it. I don't know. I think people know what a sensor is. But it creates smoke that can conceal allies or reveal hidden enemies. And a sensor is a new type of item as well that has to be filled with incense and be ignited to activate it. And they usually last for about a minute or until the smoke is dispersed.
Cool. I totally love that they just invented new stuff and just give them like, their own key names and stuff like that. And I like that the idea that they have to be lit on fire. So all of the you can just make stuff burning abilities can just be like, oh, I can just do that on the fly.
Yeah. Because now, and also additionally, like if someone wants to create new items, they have different items that they can create. Like you don't have to just make a potion. You can make a bottle of breath thing.
Yeah. I know there's like I think there's just tons of I'm pretty sure there's a Dave's. Is it Dave Kingmill? Dave's Kingmill? I forget her name, but she had like a whole episode about like how to change potions and make them sound cooler and turn them into like band-aids or like salves and stuff like that. But Pathfinder's like, just make something different. Like you can just do whatever you want. I love it.
That sounds cool. Okay, if you remember the name, let me know and I'll try to link it below.
Yeah. What am I doing? I'm like sitting in front of my computer.
We're recording an episode, man. No, dude, do whatever. I just looked up a Digimon. You can look up something if you need to. As far as creatures goes, one that immediately stood out to me, and I'm sure people who will see the picture of it will also feel the same way, was the Rakatak, which is a ravenous predator that appears as a lump of pulsing organs and tumors that has writhing clawed legs and a big old leech mouth.
Whoa.
It's a lot.
That's a lot, dude.
It is very gnarly looking, and I want to throw one at a group of players.
Oh, sorry. Her name is Dale Kingsmill. And her YouTube channel is Monarchs Factory because her name is Kingsmill.
Yeah, I think you've mentioned that channel before.
Yeah. She has an episode where she talked about how, different levels of potion could be like different levels of treatment, where it's like, one is an actual magical potion that you drink and your wounds heal, and the other one's just like a numbing cream because it's not that bad.
Cool.
Yeah. Anyway, but back to the Pathfinder thing. I like the incense thing, the sensor thing.
Yeah, man. Yeah, like again, I like the idea of new types of items, because now they can just have more of those, and possibly in Starfinder too.
Yeah.
All right. Moving on to the plane of metal. And this plane, even amongst all of them, is known to be disorienting at first, because when you look to the horizon, you see a landscape that seems to curve upwards endlessly, like you're in this massive, immeasurable sphere that's holding the entire plane, and it's full of magnetic fields and giant metallic monoliths of every metal imaginable.
Whoa. Killer.
So a couple of interesting locations. One is something that's not a specific location, but there are wide-spanning deserts of rust that are full of corroded landscapes.
Yeah. Oh my God, rust monsters.
I don't know if they exist in Pathfinder anymore, but yeah, that's where you probably find them.
That's true. They probably just made like a monster that just eats metal, because what else would you eat in the metal plane?
It's a bunch of rust weasels.
Oh, rust weasels. I love it.
And another one is the Copperwood, which is a field of metallic trees. And they gather ambient energy in their leaves and channel it to a root system below. It's like solar panels, basically, but for
nice.
elemental energy.
Yeah. Is that curious? Does it have like a technological vibe, or is it just like everything is just like chrome? Like it's just everything.
It's I mean, I kind of picture it as having a more technological vibe, especially when you look at some of the imagery of it.
Yeah.
But it is more like everything is just made of metal. Everything's kind of chromy, and I think that's why it gives me that vibe. Because
Oh,
everything's
okay.
metallic and reflective.
Nice. Cool. I'm just thinking like everything's like Zoids. Like it's just like robot dinosaurs walking around with like machine guns on their back. Like that's probably what the if I had my way, that's what the plane of metal would be like.
I don't know about the robots, but yeah, you're probably getting there. I mean, if this creature's made of metal, they might as well be robots.
Yeah.
One of the elemental lords here is Ferumnestra, the wandering lady of rust, who shepherds the plane of metal towards its inevitable end.
Oh, interesting. She's like a not like a bad guy, but obviously like
Yeah, like
she's like at the other end of the spectrum where it's like, she's like rust is a part of being metal. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. Like she's not evil.
Cool.
It's just this is just happening.
Yeah, yeah, cool. I like the so I guess there's other counterparts obviously. The other counterparts from the other planes have like the opposite vibe a little bit, right?
Yeah, I think the counterpart for the plane of metal is more about creating and like crafting stuff with metal,
Yeah.
and more like alchemical stuff, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I think like a lot of the lords and stuff, like they're kind of counterparts to each other. One particular spell, this one might be a bit OP for players, but it is Beheading Buzzsaw, a spinning disc of metal that if a creature critically fails to dodge it, they lose their head.
Oh, nice. I love it. Critically fails to dodge it. Damn, man.
It's pretty high level to be fair, but also yeah.
Friggin' Destructo disc out here, man. Just chink. Nice.
I mean, if it's a two-headed creature, it might be okay, but
I know, everyone just fights Hydras from now on. It doesn't matter.
some of the items. So some of the planes have like rune items that you can apply to like weapons and armor. One for the plane of metal is the malleable rune, which you can apply to armor, and you can sort of shift this specialization group that it's in. So if you're not specialized with a certain kind of armor, if you apply that rune to it, then you can like make it into your group of armor that you can use.
Oh, cool. So it sort of morphs like the properties of it, so it fits better, I guess.
Pretty much, yeah.
Cool.
And one of them, which of course this has to exist on the plane of metal, the resonant guitar.
Whoa.
Which is a pretty badass guitar. It can be used to guide people or guide travelers into the plane of metal when traveling. It can also give increased damage or protection in combat to allies. You can use it to like basically support your allies while you're strumming and playing it in combat. Because of course the plane of metal has to have a badass rockin' guitar.
I was gonna say it definitely. I mean, I hope that it existed. I'm glad that they just went for it. You know what I mean? Like,
I mean, it makes sense.
yeah.
One of the creatures is a intelligent snake-like creature that's called the Asp of Grief, and it's like drawn to intense emotion, like grief or sadness or fear, and it can like literally feed on those emotions and provide relief from them, which I thought was a very interesting idea. I'm not sure how it's a metal thing, but I thought it was a really cool creature.
Huh. Interesting that it feeds off of it and provides relief.
Yeah.
Ooh. Is it bad? I don't understand.
Maybe.
Like, is it like that's what I want to know? I was like, I like that the creature exists, but how am I supposed to make it an antagonist? Maybe it's not an antagonist. Interesting. Okay, cool.
Well, yeah, I mean, it might not be. Although it seems like the kind of thing someone could very easily become obsessed with.
Exactly, right? Yeah. Ooh, I can see like a cool like cult kind of thing where it's like we'll take all your woes away, but it's like just like this snake thing in the basement. And it's like, yes, good. Feed me more.
Feed me all the sads.
Yeah, yeah. And then when it's not getting enough sads, it just gets pissed and eats somebody.
Yes. That's probably not what it is, but yes. I want an evil one.
Yeah.
Okay, so with that, let's get into the Plane of Water, which is a boundless sea with very little to no land. And it has, like all water, it has the power to be calm and tranquil, as well as violent and very dangerous. To that end, one of the interesting locations is Violesque, the city of splendid waves, which has towers that both extend into the water and others that are in a massive air bubble. So it's got a bit of a habitat for people who breathe water and people who breathe air.
Ooh, cool.
One of the elemental lords here is the creator of the plane's currents and empress of the torrent, oh gosh, they all have weird names. Lysianassa, who sort of tends to the cycles of entropy and rejuvenation. As I recall, she was one of the lords that was imprisoned, but she also created the currents of the plane. So when she got back, she kind of had to start the cycle going again, basically. So that's been something she's been focused on.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Some interesting stuff. One of the spells here I thought was pretty cool. Personal Ocean. It surrounds the user in a bubble of seawater and gives them a swim speed. And then pretty much the rules of aquatic combat apply to the user and anyone attacking them or anything that passes through that space.
Anybody who attacks them is just in water now? Oh, like it acts like it's in water? Oh, that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Because I know there's
so
like
cool.
the underwater marauder feat that's been around, but doesn't really get enough use. But like, yeah, it's just like, I'm in water now. If you want to fight me, you have to use water rules.
Finally, a reason for my underwater marauder to work. That's cool. I could totally see that spell just being used to have like water-based things. Just, oh man, this book is gonna actually save my campaign.
Right? Oh, speaking of, oh no, go ahead.
I was gonna say all my Sharknadoes that I just made up rules for. Now I can just use this thing.
True. So this is pretty cool. So one of the items is the about face figurehead, and it's a thing that you attach to a ship that has the ability once per day to create a temporary whirlpool that turns the ship 180 degrees in place, and you can use that in like ship combat and stuff like that.
Oh, okay, cool.
To just like suddenly turn in place. But one of the things about this is that the figurehead is a new type of item. And it's a type of item that is specifically installed on ships and vessels to give them like different abilities.
Oh, nice. Okay, cool.
So if we do more ship stuff, I think Helen might be interested in outfitting the mermaid's dagger with a new figurehead.
Nice.
Since
cool.
it's a pirate campaign.
Yeah, I mean, we hardly use the ship. The ship is really just a plot device to get you guys from point A to point B.
True,
and
but you know.
And to hold all the NPCs I've created because I'm a sadist to myself.
I want those guys off my boat. They're taking up too much room.
Never.
One of the creatures, I think this one might also be useful for you, possibly. Saltborn Stalkers. And these are like merfolk who are twisted into vicious creatures, and they have sharp teeth and claws and those bioluminescent appendages you see on some deep sea creatures. It's like twisted mermaids.
Nice. Yeah, I'm down for that. Yeah. They could have like the aqua bubble spell too.
Do not want to fight those guys on water.
I mean, they'll just come to you.
Yeah, probably. And lastly, for the plains, the plane of wood. And this is a plane of plants and flora where day and night is set by the glow cycles of different plants, and rivers flow with intoxicating sap. And the locals are often wary of outsiders because they are still recovering from a planar blight that had been brought onto them by Erzul, one of the lords of Earth. So they're still dealing with that.
That dick.
He really is. One of the key locations. This one was super interesting to me. I kind of want to put a campaign in here, or at least an adventure. But one of the key locations is the Crypts of the Tuber Lords, a maze of caverns that was once ruled by 6 potato-ish creature lords.
Potato-ish? What do you mean by potato-ish?
Because they're tubers, which are like, those are like the kind of plants that grow underground, like potatoes.
Oh.
I think maybe eggplants as well.
No, eggplants are above ground, but
no,
I don't know
plants.
Yeah, you don't.
But yeah, like plants that grow underground, like those bulbous kind of plants. The 6 Tuber Lords once ruled this maze of caverns, but unfortunately the caverns collapsed after the blight was spread through this plane. Though many of their treasures are likely still held deep below within the collapsed tunnels, which I think could be a really cool adventure going in to recover some of those. I kind of want to do a planar campaign, to be honest. Like, I'm looking at some of these places, and I'm seeing, like, oh, what if you had to go in here and get a thing? I don't know what the thing is, but I want to do something here. One of the elemental lords of the Plane of Wood is Verilorn, who is, like, this quiet gardener type, the custodian of Oak and Ash, who believes that guardians have to be kept orderly, and is meticulously precise with his garden work.
Cool.
One of the things they mentioned is how, like, in one of the other planes, the first world, like, the plant stuff there is very chaotic, but in the Plane of Wood, it's much more orderly in a certain ways, and Verilorn is one of the reasons why. Some spells, Arrow Salvo, which is sort of like an ability from Divinity Original Sin, for people who might know that, but you create a massive wooden bow that rains a whole bunch of arrows down on people. And Wooden Double, which is like you create a wooden copy of yourself that protects you after a critical hit. It's like a sudden shield that looks at yourself.
No, Calvin, you don't even watch Naruto. That's the substitution jutsu.
Ooh. Maybe I should watch more anime.
I mean, it's basically just like when someone gets like stabbed or something, they just like poof, and turns out they just stabbed the log, and they're like behind them. Like, that's like it's called, which I mean, I still think it's like they did that in the like Naruto at the beginning, and then no one does it anymore. Although I think it's like the best jutsu, because you can just be like, aha, you actually, I'm a log. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this book is all very anime, especially the Kineticist, so.
I was gonna say one of the dudes, especially the bad Earth guy reminds me of like a Final Fantasy IV boss. I was like, I'm pretty sure they reached out into all of the cool gaming stuff they're into to make these elemental lords like the way they are. So yeah,
I mean, that would make sense.
Yeah.
One of the items I thought was really cool looking was Tails and Timber. And it's like this wooden breastplate armor that has all these intricate carvings on it. That has like a bunch of abilities. One of the cool ones being that the wearer can disguise themselves as a wooden statue.
Oh, nice.
And then one of the creatures are these little Lemuri sprouts, who these are plant creatures who love guiding and growing new plants, but they really hate it when someone steps on their lawn.
Oh man.
And then, yeah, as mentioned before, there are different like places that are sort of mixes between the different planes. Like there's the Tin Reef, which is a mixture between the planes of water and metal. Obviously, it's like a coral reef made of metal.
Oh, cool. And I guess there might be a steam place.
Yeah.
Steamy.
I think like they gave a bunch of different examples. There's some that are like 2. There's some that are 3. I think they kind of left like a bit of space there for GMs to get in there and get their own ideas out, which could be pretty fun.
Right.
So we've been going for a while, and we haven't even talked about the Kineticist yet.
Oh. Oh no.
So, I didn't want to like read like before. Last time we talked about Kineticist in the playtest, we kind of just read through the book, and I didn't want to do that again because that's going to be too much stuff. So I'm just going to give a quick overview of it. I'm going to see what we can squeeze in the last few minutes of the podcast here. If this is a long episode, then I'm sorry to everybody out there. But yeah, Kineticist is a constitution-based class with a connection to the planes. And they did change some things with regards to the playtest, in that now a player can choose at first level whether they will be a single gate or double gate Kineticist. So single gate, you connect to one specific element, and with that single connection to it, you can also expand into a gate junction, which is basically like an expansion on your elemental powers that you get as you level up, but you get one at level 1 if you choose just one element. And dual gate is obviously you get to choose 2 elements. You get to choose a couple of different abilities with those elements, but you don't get the gate junction. but you do have access to 2 different lists of elemental abilities. And those abilities are usually in impulses, which are basically like feats or spells that you use as feats. They're just like the way a fighter can swing a sword, you can throw an element at someone.
Nice. Yeah.
So
yeah, it's like it's like Avatar. It's just Avatar.
Pretty much. You have a kinetic aura. It's like a 10-foot emanation where traces of your element float around you whenever it's activated, and you need to activate it so you can use those impulses. And you have different ones. You have your basic ones, like your base kinesis. It's like prestidigitation, but for your element. You have a basic elemental blast, which can be melee or ranged. You can use it for a single action or use it for 2 actions to do a bit of extra damage. There's different types of impulses, obviously, that I'm not going to get into too many of the specifics of. But I did want to mention that at level 5, you can choose, like level 5 and every 4 levels beyond that, you can choose to either expand your abilities. So you can either expand into a new plane or just become more powerful with your current one and then get more gate junctions. So it's either more gate junctions, which have different like abilities in themselves, specific to the different planes, or you just have access to more planar impulse lists.
Yeah, I'm assuming that you can probably connect to all 5 planes eventually, like if you just are 20th level or something like that.
Yeah, I think that's doable. It's like 5th, 9th, and if you start off with 2, then I think it's probably doable.
Okay, because I mean, like, why would they make 5? You couldn't just be the Avatar. I just don't understand. You know what I mean? I'm like,
yeah,
it's like,
it's not possible.
Yeah, if I was designing this game, I'd be like, yeah, there's gonna be dudes out here who could be like, wait, I want to just be the Avatar.
Yeah, I'm sure that's doable. You can be the Avatar by 9th level at least, because you'll have all 4 of the main ones anyway.
No, I want all of them. There's 2 new ones.
Oh yeah, then you just have to wait a few more levels.
Damn it.
So yeah, I did make a couple of characters. One of them is Jin Groundbreaker, who I made after the playtest before, but I've remade now. She's just like a traveler who's trying to understand how her strength became this connection to the Earth plane. So obviously she's an Earth Kineticist. So for her, I just focused on the single Earth gate. So at level 5, because I only made her up to level 5, I just chose to keep expanding on that. So at level 5, she extends upon how her Earth effects work. So they can also she can also like knock people down. If she lands a crit, she can get like a bonus to her AC when she's in her Earth element. And because I chose a single element, and some of the other character stuff I chose gave me some more options for class abilities. She has like a whole bunch of different impulses that she can use. Some of the interesting ones being Tremor, which just lets off this burst that can, knock enemies prone and do damage. But it isn't overflow, so whenever she uses it, she has to recharge her connection to her elemental aura again. Like basically resummon it.
Mm-hmm.
So like at the top of... Yep.
Yeah, I was going to say, she had to like charge up her key energy like in Dragon Ball Z. She's like, ah.
Yeah, exactly. At the start of combat, every kineticist has to charge up their key energy with at least one action to do so. And yeah, she has a bunch of cool stuff. Armor in Earth is pretty fun. It's basically like stone armor. She gets like an AC of +4. So I kind of imagine her walking around without armor very confidently. And then if something happens, she's just like, whoop. And then she just has this big old chunky Earth armor.
Nice.
And yeah, also stuff where she can like create stone objects, which is pretty fun too. And then the other one I made is Leaf Riverbind, who is a Leshy kineticist, who I sort of imagined as like a gardener who wants to help and heal people. So he's got water and wood, as he's a dual gate kineticist. And then I was just choosing like healing stuff mostly. So at first level, there's Ocean's Bomb, which is a water impulse, which provides healing water with fire resistance. And then there's my personal favorite impulse so far, Fresh Produce, which you can create healing fruit.
Oh, that's so cool. They're just like, hey, do you want an apple? Where'd you get that? I don't know.
Yeah, that was my favorite one. I just like the name of it. It's just so silly. But yeah, here, have a fruit. Some of the other abilities I chose for Leaf Riverbind, Tidal Hands, because I just want people to catch these tidal hands. This is also an overflow where you can summon either one 30-foot cone of water or two 15-foot cones, like blasting one from each hand.
No. Nice.
And then because this character has access to water and wood elemental abilities, they can use a composite impulse. And there's composite impulses of like mixtures of two different elements. So the one that this character has access to, the water and wood composite, is Ambush Bladderwort. And what it does is that they plant a seed in the ground, and if an enemy steps over it, it erupts into like this ensnaring translucent plant. Which obviously like grabs a creature or whatever. If a creature dies within the plant then shrinks down and it converts itself into more healing fruits.
Oh, so it just eats it and turns it into fruit. You're like, ogre.
Nice. I don't know. I'm just picturing like if Leaf was in an adventuring party for several levels, like he just keeps giving people fruit because he can just keep summoning it, and then at some point, as they get more powerful, like it just consumes like a creature, and they're just like, here you go, it's normal fruit. I've given you guys fruit all the time. What's wrong with this one?
And then everyone's like, where's it come from? He's like, I don't know. And then now they find out it's just people. It's regular people.
Oh man, it is. It's terrifying. I love it. But for this character at level 5, I chose to. So again, because you can choose to expand on your one ability, or you can choose to get it to a new one. So you can expand the portal if you want to improve your single element, or you can fork the path if you want to get a new element. And I chose to give this character the air element at level 5. And with that, they also get an air ability, which I just chose Air Cushion, which is pretty much create a cushion of air under a falling creature and slow down their fall as well. So now
this feels so cool.
Yep.
It feels like you can just have like if everybody was a kineticist, they would all still function differently, which I think is the coolest part about it. It's like you could just be like, forget about the player's handbook or player core. Just take this book. This is it. We don't need anything else.
This is why I want a Kineticist campaign, because each of these characters could be a campaign within themselves.
Yeah.
Oh man, I gotta drag some people into a Kineticist campaign. Because I really want to do it. I also made like a sorcerer who's an elementalist that uses a bunch of fire magic, but I didn't write a whole bunch of notes down for it. But yeah, again, like it was just an archetype. So pretty much, I made an automaton sorcerer, and then I just gave them this archetype. So they're a robot that knows magic, but they have a connection to the fire plane, so they do a whole bunch of fire magic. And of course, being an elementalist gives them access to certain spells. It changes the spells that they would have on their sorcerer list, because they're obviously an elemental sorcerer. And yeah, it was pretty sweet. And again, I think this class is really cool. I think it gives you a lot of options. I really want to use Jin Groundbreaker in a campaign at some point. So we'll see how future stuff goes, because we got a lot of campaign recaps to catch up on.
Oh gosh, yeah. Too much of a good thing, I guess.
Mayhaps. But yeah, that is there's a bunch of other stuff that I wanted to talk about that I kind of skipped, but I think that's gonna be where we leave our talk on the Rage of Elements book for now. Because I really wanted to get into Kineticist, I kind of had to summarize it in like 10 minutes. But yeah, definitely check the book out. It's up on the Paizo site. You want the PDF, but you can buy a physical copy wherever you want to get it from. Man, I wish Paizo sponsored us, so we could, partnership with us, so we could have like an affiliate link.
One day, it'll happen. Although I'm pretty sure you personally are just super excited about this book.
Yeah, I mean,
it's not even like we want kickback. Calvin literally just wants more people to buy this book.
Yeah, I'll do this for free, man. Someone run a Kineticist campaign for me. Yeah, I'm really excited to get more into this book. I want to get back into like all the setting stuff because, like, for me personally, I don't know too much about the like, I'm not too into the Pathfinder setting usually. I'm more into the Starfinder stuff. And when it comes to Pathfinder, I've never really played in, like, other than maybe one shots. I've never played in the canon setting because with your games
That's
it was
true.
always homebrew stuff. With my games it's always
Yeah.
homebrew stuff. But with this, I could slip this into my game because this is on a different plane. So as far as like the planes are concerned, the universe or whatever, that could be any universe in the multiverse. But all this planar stuff, this is stuff that I could use if I wanted to keep the planar canon, or I could just do my own thing and just keep the characters, or even just
Yeah.
keep like the spells and whatever else.
Yeah, I should. I think I should run an adventure path for you guys set in Galorian? The universe,
Galarian.
whatever.
Yeah.
Galorian. Words, man. Not for me today.
Yeah, no, it's fine. But yeah, that is part of why I'm so excited about this, because I could just use all this stuff. If I want to send people into the plane of fire, I have a whole setting for it now, and I don't have to be like, I don't know. Because with me, when it comes to running in canon settings, and I had the same problem with Mutants and Masterminds, when it comes to running in canon settings, I feel like if I don't know everything about this setting, then if I say or do something that conflicts with something else, I don't know what I'm going to have to deal with. I don't know how to fix it. Like if I just say, oh yeah, sure, this event probably happened at some point in the past, and it was something different, then what am I going to do with that? Because I don't control the history of it.
Yeah, exactly right. And you can't. And what if that person goes to another person who's running it in the same universe or in one of those settings, and it's like, they have a misunderstanding because of you or something like that.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah, it's tough.
Yeah, that's why I tend to largely avoid canonical settings. Starfinder was just so big that it didn't matter.
Yeah. One dust ball planet into every dust ball planet, right? Like,
exactly. Yeah, because with Starfinder, I was at least coming in from the beginning and starting pretty much fresh. But like with Pathfinder, it's like, here's all these adventures and things that have already happened and all this planar history, and there's like thousands of years of history, and I don't know it. But now I don't have to. I'll just be in a plane.
Yeah. You don't need to be an actual historian to understand all of the lore, right? So.
Exactly. So yeah, I'm excited to get into this book more. I'm probably gonna make Jin up to 20th level, and then I will foist her on whatever poor GM will have her.
Yeah. So look forward to that, folks. Look forward to hear Jen smashing it up. It's clobbering time.
Yeah. Whatever happens next, I'm sure we'll talk about it on here. But that's all we've got for now as far as the Rage of Elements book goes. I don't know, Ron, any other comments or questions before we go into the outro?
I don't know. Paizo, if you're listening to us, please sponsor us because Calvin desperately needs you to have more sales.
I just want all my friends to have a copy of this book.
True. Yeah. But that's it. That's it for me.
So yeah, like I said before, there's a whole bunch of other stuff going on. There's new Starfinder stuff. There's a preview of the changes for the core rulebook for the Pathfinder Remaster. We definitely want to get into that stuff. We also have campaign recaps that we love doing, and there's at least 2 in the can that we have to get to. So yeah, all that fun stuff will be coming up in the future. So if you want to see any of that, be sure to hit that there subscribe button and the like button and all that YouTube stuff that you already know how to do. If you want to see more tabletop RPG stuff, definitely check out previous episodes of the podcast. We like to talk about games, ones that we're in, ones that we're running, and just really get into those, as well as just talk about a whole bunch of Pathfinder stuff and Lancer stuff if you're into Lancer. Speaking of which, there's a whole bunch of links to Lancer third-party stuff below, so definitely go check all that stuff out, including the Okua Station channel, where Ramon was recently in one of their streams.
Yeah. Those Shaka's been cooking up some good stuff over there, and you could catch. He has a YouTube channel as well. Catch his live streams. I think he has a couple of ongoing campaigns, canon ones and non-canon ones to the Ukua Station continuum. So, Yeah, yeah.
Also tweeted earlier today about Field Guide to Umfukane 2.
Ooh.
So, earlier today, day of recording. By the time this episode's out, there might be more information on it. So,
yeah,
definitely check that guy out. Additionally, if you want to see some superhero tabletop RPG stuff, please check out the Untold Stories Project channel, where I'm at on Tuesdays and Wednesdays in their Mutants and Masterminds campaigns. Freedom League Dark, our superhero multiversal travelers, are about to run into the Gemstars, who are a bunch of magical girls in a fantasy world. The Gemstars finale is coming up very soon, and I'm very sad. I'm going to miss them. Hopefully they survive the experience. And then there's going to be another series that'll be up on that channel shortly thereafter. So definitely go check them out. And lastly, as far as our stuff goes, if you're into video games, there are some gaming streams going on the channel currently, including Sims, Divinity Original Sin, Dead Space 2, which is very scary. Some guy tried to stab me in the eye the other day, and it was not pretty. It is a very scary and very stressful game. There's like this new enemy, and they hide from you, and then they wait until you're like reloading or something, and then they just run at you and scream. And I hate them so much.
Oh my god. No one told you to play this game, so you did this to yourself.
I know, but still. So, yeah, check out all that stuff. All of it's all over the channel. And yeah, stick around if you want to see more Pathfinder things and Starfinder things, because we are for sure going to be talking about these games a whole lot.
Yeah, yep, definitely. All right, cool. I guess that's the show.
Indeed. All right, well, for all of our planes traveling GMs and players out there, just remember to keep on winning with dice, and we'll see you next time.